We set up a whole mobile studio up here in Lake County.
3, 2, 1. Ready?
Say, kids, what time is that?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, that's us recording in progress.
New Year's Day, or actually it's New Year's Eve. We better record it, otherwise we're definitely going to forget.
Who works on New Year's Eve? Jeez.
Hey, you call this work?
It's true. We're usually doing something with the tech on New Year's.
And we
One way or
are
the
right
other.
here. We're visiting friends. We're at the early stages of our wonderful private friends' New Year's Eve party right here in the living room of dear Hallelujah and Teresa Bell.
Yeah.
And Halle is busy. Oh, look at that. He's ready
gonna
to
say
say
hi. We're
hi.
gonna
Hi, Halle.
Hola.
Get a little closer
New
to make
Year.
sure you can hear you.
Happy New Year.
Yay. All right. All right.
Nice
That's
to hear you,
Hallelujah. That's
buddy.
our house. That's our hostess with the host with the most.
Host with the most.
Well, it depends upon what I wear.
That's true.
That's true. Sometimes he's host with the least. He was once voted first guy to get naked at most parties.
Yeah.
I was one of the merry maids at Burning Man.
And you did jump out of a cake, kind of in all.
We won't tell that story.
No, we won't.
We don't want to ruin your New Year's.
Let's just say that Halle's had a few adventures in life.
He is a very lovely wild man. We love him dearly.
Why, thank you.
And he runs a Airbnb up here.
That's right, Bliss Mountain.
Bliss Mountain.
Bliss Mountain, yeah.
Not your usual Airbnb, I might add.
BlissMTN.com.
How many Airbnbs can tell you that you can stay in a teepee? You know?
With a grass floor.
Yeah.
We have the large house, and it's occupied today. And we have the teepee. I just got it ready. It's just really beautiful. It's got a grass floor, artificial grass floor. It's really comfortable. And we have the Nest apartment as well.
The Nest apartment in the Bliss Mountain barn, which has been converted into like a lounge. It's a really beautiful lounge.
Yeah,
upstairs.
the Blessing Temple.
Yeah. That's the temple upstairs.
One of the newer additions is the Blessing Pools with waterfalls, and we got Rockman Waterfall, and we have stalactite caves to enjoy.
It's pretty cool. It's
And a
like,
beautiful scenic hike that is just wonderful through the trees, through a wannabe grape orchard with a great view of the valley here.
one of the interesting things about Lake County is that you can see these geysers at sunset.
Oh, yeah. You see these
Yeah, like
steam
from our
pillars
deck.
going up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The steam. They're actually steam venting.
Well, I'm sitting here right
never
next
too
to the
late.
beautiful Christmas tree. We had a wonderful Christmas solstice party, and it's been wonderful family ever since.
Yeah. I notice you're still waiting to open that last Christmas present.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
towards the end, eh?
Oh, I don't know. Well, open any moment. I could bust out and open
You
it.
could.
I'm looking
You
at
could.
it now. I'm going, wait a minute.
And one of the interesting folks that live out here also is Karma Moffat. You might have known if you were all a new ager in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, anybody who is a big fan of those Tibetan bells, he had a huge best-selling album. I think he was the first one I ever saw doing Tibetan bell music.
And horns. And the whole nine
horns.
Indians. Did a
Karma
concert here
Moffat.
the other night. That was just awesome.
Yeah,
it's,
and Karma and Teresa Bell, who have been musical partners on and off for many years. And she does her incredible singing and chanting, and he plays this vast collection of instruments that includes bells and bowls and different kinds of rattles.
Bones, too, for various bones.
And a long Tibetan longhorn and conch shells. And
It's amazing. It's a
yeah.
great meditation.
It's quite a spread, and that's like permanently spread in a location in the temple down in the...
And he's a life artist painter, so the whole upstairs is also a gallery.
And
in
so
the midst
much
of all
more.
the clouds on
Yeah.
the walls. Yeah.
The whole temple has been transformed from a room in a fabulous sky-filled outdoors to a sky room, so that you feel like you're immersed in the clouds above while you're in the gallery. It's really beautiful.
And if you're hearing us now, we're on Starlink.
That's right.
And there's no latency. No,
And the
just
only
kidding.
echo is the one that Hallelujah provides.
Remember when the first satellites came out? It was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anybody out there?
There,
And then all
there,
of a sudden,
there,
I
there,
hear
there.
you.
Well, you don't worry. That is, they're 23,000 miles out. They're in geosynchronous orbit, while the ones that we're using now are only like 200 miles up.
Near Earth orbit.
Yeah, as opposed to 23,000 miles up.
no
So there's
wonder.
Takes a little less time for light to travel.
I never figured that out.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's
All right.
Uncle
Now-
Dr. Future.
Did we say hello to Bobby? Hi,
Bobby, are you there?
Yes.
Hey, all
Hi,
right,
Bobby.
all right.
Hey, Halle.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, you're hooked up. Starlink. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty flawless. It's pretty good.
Yeah, one of the big accomplishments of 2024 is that Starlink now has direct-to-cell service. So people can call Starlink with their cell phones. Using their cell phones, they can have satellite connectivity to any place in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a big day
I
on
think it's
planet
rolling out
Earth.
in January. Yeah, this next month.
Teresa Bell, she's going to do a New Year's singing blessing in the second half of our show.
Right.
Right.
As we
That's right.
cross over from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, right smack in the middle, the transition, we'll be hearing from Teresa Bell, a
Well,
little blessing.
Yeah, now we'll hear a little bit more from who knows who's going to show up here. We're in the middle of
That's
a
true.
whole
You know,
nother
we
world.
had a call
Yeah.
from Heather Wakefield just like moments before the show started.
But we'll definitely hear from folks that are in the studio here about their lives and what they're doing on New Year's
That's right.
today.
Speaking of what they're doing,
Yeah.
that phone was ringing because my Airbnb people are calling me. So I'm going to take a moment to see what they want.
Okay. Oh, one
okay.
question before you go. Is it true that you were brought up near Disneyland?
Yeah, it messed me up for life.
That's
I was
Orange County.
I was on Ball Road right behind Disneyland.
Yeah.
And every single night we saw the fireworks.
Wow.
And my friend back then, his dad worked at Disneyland. And we used to like to go there and meet girls and stuff and take them on the Pirates of the Caribbean. And
Was it the happiest place on earth for you?
when I found a girl to take her on the Pirates of the Caribbean, it was.
Hey, I bet.
Never mind.
Okay, good. All right. We'll hear more from Halle a little bit
Can
later.
imagine the details. Okay. We'll see you in a little later. See you when you get back.
Okay, this is the last show of the year, so we're going to kind of look at some of our favorite stories of the year. So I'd like to hear both from you and Bobby about what your favorite stories were this year. Meanwhile, I thought it was a very interesting piece about the James Webb Telescope and what it's found.
I love James Webb.
Yeah.
It's just a whole new dimension in space travel.
Yeah, of course, those of you who listen to us know all about James Webb. It's the largest, most powerful telescope humans have ever sent into space. It's a space-based telescope.
Yeah.
30 years to build. It's been in operation now for 3 years. And it's already revolutionized our understanding of the cosmos.
Parked on the dark side of the moon.
You're interested in our solar system. It's explored many aspects of that. It's studied the atmospheres of exoplanets in other star systems. It's searched for signs of life there. It's looked at the origins of the galaxies and the universe itself, finding the oldest galaxies and very first stars that have ever been seen or ever were created. As far
And
as we know.
because it's outside of the atmosphere of the Earth, it has extremely accurate infrared information that we've never had access to before with this level of precision and detail.
So, in terms of some of the information it's come up with, the current record for the most distant galaxy confirmed by the telescope dates back to a time when the universe was only about 300 million years old. 300 million years.
Just a baby universe.
Yeah. 14 billion years now. Something like that, right, Bobby? I mean,
Yeah. What, 13 points?
It's 13.76, yeah. Something like that, yeah.
So that's a third of the first million.
So in the very first 300 million, the galaxy managed already by then to form about 400 million times the mass of our sun. That means like 400 million,
Suns in one
Suns.
galaxy.
yeah, by 300
One
million years
baby
old.
galaxy grew from nothing to 400 times the size of our sun in only 400 million years.
Yeah, so that's pretty efficient. Extremely efficient, actually.
We guess so. So they tell us.
Yeah. And it's not the only galaxy on top of that.
Uh-huh.
What's interesting about the origins of the galaxies is that when the galaxies grow, they're constantly expanding like a balloon. And then their stars explode. They go, like pop. And they expand, pop, I guess like a balloon and popping, and it creates dust. And the bigger the galaxy, the more dust there is. And this dust appears red because it absorbs blue light. But that's why the telescope does infrared, so it can see through the dust. But here's an interesting thing,
Revelation.
Yeah. The telescope has shown that these first galaxies to be shockingly bright, massive, and not red, but very blue. No sign of dust. So how come the earliest galaxies don't create dust when they expand?
They don't fit our theories.
That's a puzzle.
Yeah. Here we've been speculating all this time, thinking we knew how galaxies formed. And as we look at these early galaxies, they look different than we thought.
And we thought that stars popped when they explode, creating dust. But maybe, the earlier ones didn't do that. Maybe they had huge stars that just collapsed like a deflating balloon without any dust.
No explosion.
Yeah, due to gravity effects of some sort we don't understand yet. And so no massive supernova explosions.
Right. They were just mellow, peaceful galaxies in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so that's one group of scientists think that. Maybe they just deflated and when they died, didn't explode. Others thought that they exploded even more in the early days. They had such huge explosions of stars that the dust that they normally would have created is pushed far away from the galaxy.
Yeah, the
Just
dust
leaving
was there. It just got blown away.
Yeah, a blue dust-free core. Yeah, so that's possible too.
Right.
And that the dust was destroyed in the intense radiation,
Sure.
from those blowouts.
So it's blue dust maybe is like hydrogen or something, and it's either ionized or it's collected some other way.
Well, the other thing about the early galaxies is that they formed all the elements.
Right.
At the very beginning, there was only hydrogen. In the beginning, there was hydrogen.
Right. Just the very first element, the tiniest, simplest element of light.
Hydrogen, and then some helium, and then a little amount of lithium
The third element on the periodic table.
for the universal battery.
Right. But anyway, all of these are very tiny, light elements. And 99% of the universe was originally thought to be just these three elements.
And somehow,
everything else they thought came about from exploding stars.
yes, well, the stars were like the first blacksmiths. They were the forgers of all the elements. All the elements came from the stars.
Well, because our theory is that
Calcium.
that it's the explosion
Oxygen.
that creates the concentrating force that allows the atoms to bond with each other. The fusion forces, the fission forces.
Fission and fusion.
Without the power of an exploding star, we just don't see how those little teeny tiny atoms could form into those much larger atoms.
Well, here's what I have to say about that, Mrs. Future. A lot of things can only come from the exploding stars, but I think that some things can be forged in the stars without them having to explode.
Sure, like a kiln.
Yeah,
The
there's certain
chemical
things.
reactions just come from the heat and the pressure.
Yeah, you need, and the explosions, of course, will get you the heavier elements.
Right.
If you think in terms of the science fiction worlds like Frank Herbert and Dune, and the idea that the stars themselves were sentient beings, and then if you think about that in terms of the James Webb Telescope, they would be sentient beings that had at their command the ability to create all the elements of the universe for real.
Oh, sure.
All of them are being forged in the fires of the great star systems.
Ooh. Right. Yeah, they just think of geometry as some kind of new music that they can play.
Yeah, and so the geometries of matter are well known to them.
That's right. Let's have some more helium over here. Hey, let's try something new. How about some lithium?
We need a little bit of uranium over here.
That's way down the
Oh,
line.
yeah. Yeah, we need some big guns for that.
Right. But the big surprise, as this article reveals, was that these early galaxies have a lot of nitrogen. And that is
Nitrogen,
something
huh.
that the scientists were not expecting at all.
Why is that?
Because nitrogen is a much larger element, and they thought that it was formed later. And it turns out
It
when
was
they're
in the early
looking at
universe.
these lovely blue galaxies, they have a lot of nitrogen.
I think we're just at the beginning of figuring all this stuff out.
Yeah, we have a lot to learn, and our models can't explain what our telescope is showing us. So we've got to adjust something.
I
either
think
the
we-
model or the telescope.
We're just trying to get a feel for what the conditions were back then. If you know what the conditions were, we may be able to infer what happened a little bit. So that was one of the many studies of the James Webb Telescope. There was also the case of the mysterious little red dots.
That's something that I never heard of before.
And you never heard of the mysterious red dots?
Not till right now.
It was one of the very first images of the James Webb Telescope once it was up. There was studies of the early universe where we were looking at these very first star systems. They were inhabited by a lot of little red dots that appeared. Extremely compact, red-colored dots. Didn't have any clue what they were. So as our scientists looked at them, they realized they weren't just stars, but they seemed to be some kind of possibly massive, super dense galaxies. But we hadn't thought that existed, this massive, super dense galaxies. That was a new idea for us. But looking at them showed them that maybe not. They might be something else. They might not be massive, super dense galaxies. Maybe there's something. Anyway, what we do know is that bright hydrogen gas is emitting light at huge speeds, thousands of kilometers per second. The only place else we've seen something like that is gas swirling around supermassive black holes. And this phenomenon, they have a name for it. It's called active galactic nucleus. And around a black hole, it indicates some kind of feeding frenzy where a supermassive black hole is really hungry and it's gobbling up all the gas around it, and it's growing very quickly. They've seen it there.
So it's warning light red, huh?
Yeah, so these red dots at the beginning of time, well, it's not your garden variety galactic nuclei in action here. There are no detectable X-rays being emitted, and they seem to have the features of star populations, these red dots. Could these galaxies be stars and galactic nuclei at the same time? They're not either one, but sort of in between them, or some evolutionary stage of galactic development. Whatever they are, these red dots are going to teach us something most likely about supermassive black holes, as well as the origins of the universe. We have an interesting article on that. We'll go into more stories about James Webb at drfutureshow.com/links. Fascinating thing.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. Apparently those red dots were out of view because they were not visible with the Earth's atmosphere. So we needed the James Webb to be able to see
The infrared
them.
range with that,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Well, listen, we're right at the time that's perfect to take a little break and introduce folks to Santa Cruz Voice sponsors and supporters.
You ready?
We'll be right back.
That's great!
Experience the extraordinary. Travel with Shen Yun to discover 5,000 years of wisdom, beauty, drama, and humor live on stage. You're not just watching a performance. You are witnessing a culture reborn. Coming to San Francisco, San Jose, and Berkeley, starting on December 26th. shenyun.com/ca. SHENYUN.com/ca.
Attention, Santa Cruz Voice listeners. This week, Shen Yung Performing Arts takes the stage with a never-before-seen performance of soul-stirring music and breathtaking classical Chinese dance. Do not miss this chance to experience the beauty of China before communism, its legends, its traditions, its divine inspiration. Get tickets today at shenyun.com/ca. Santa Cruz Voice listeners use promo code SCV to get all ticketing fees waived. shenyun.com/ca, promo SCV.
The Hook is California's first ever cannabis outlet. 100% locally owned and operated, we're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. We believe that everyone should have access to fairly priced cannabis. So we work hard to get it to you for 30 to 50% less than the other guys. If you're 21 or older with a valid ID, visit us in Capitola or in Watsonville today. We're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. Check out our website, hookoutlet.com, for deals and stay groovy.
If you are not afraid to voice your stories to the world, attend the Podcast to Broadcast workshops hosted by Santa Cruz Voice and Community Television during Tuesday evenings in January. Learn how to produce, record, process, distribute, and market your own podcast or streaming broadcast. For information, email your contacts to info@santacruzvoice.com. That's info@santacruzvoice.com. Be heard.
Experience the extraordinary. Travel with Shen Yun to discover 5,000 years of wisdom.
Okay, we are back. We're up in Lake County, as we mentioned earlier, and it's the final show of the year. We're looking at some of our favorite stories. We were just talking about the James Webb Telescope and some of the great things that it has discovered as our latest, greatest space telescope. I could go on forever on that one, but we've got so many cool stories today. I'm just wondering, the breaking news, and Bobby had sent this in, regarding the Treasury, the U.S. Treasury being hacked. Did that turn out to be a real thing?
Yes, it was on Fox News first. Well, actually, it was on YouTube a couple hours earlier. But it turned out that there's a third-party piece of software that has access to the United States Treasury. Somehow China has acquired access to the keys to access the United States Treasury. So these are hackers in Beijing.
Right, they're doing it remotely. It was stolen key. Access works.
Well,
that's what
in other words, they have the keys to the Treasury. They could, it's theoretical. I'm not sure exactly how powerful this thing is, but they could move assets,
Possibly move bank accounts.
Yes.
Treasury. Yes. But they haven't, as far as they know.
And Janet Yellen went to China to talk about this on December 8th.
Yeah.
And it sounded like the computer systems or laptops that they took over there, they even hacked those systems before she came back.
So the hacking culture is alive and well in China, especially, huh?
Yes.
So they've been doing this for a while.
This is the first time I heard about it. I guess Janet Yellen knew about it before she went to the trip to China on December 8th. So I don't know how much earlier it's been happening. It sounds like they can use that as blackmail.
I would imagine so. Chinese are working heavily on quantum computers too, right? And theoretically, quantum computers should be able to hack bank accounts and stuff pretty well. Almost any form of encryption.
That's why, Apple and Signal have quantum-proof
algorithms to protect us against quantum computers. I'm sure that's going to be a big priority as the quantum computers become more and more sophisticated. Speaking of which, the Willow chip has been getting a lot of news as one of the most sophisticated breakthroughs in quantum computing this year.
The big thing about quantum computers is when you add more quantum chips to it, the error rate accelerates. And so you get more errors but they found a way to actually add more quantum chips. They have 100 qubits now, 104 qubits, I believe. And so they have error correcting so that when they add more qubits, the error rates actually go down because it does error correction. So actually, this Willow is revolutionary. It's like now they can actually do some processing without having these random errors show up.
Makes it more functional.
Yeah, but it still doesn't have enough qubits to crack AES 256. That's where all the banks use that type of encryption. I'm sure if Apple has got quantum encryption, I'm sure the Treasury is going to incorporate some kind of
their ability, if they've truly broken it through with that. That's another interesting thing about the chip is that it sparked a debate on the multiverse theory.
Really?
Yeah. Here's a piece in Quantum Insider. Google's quantum chip Willow solved the computational problem in under 5 minutes, sparking debates about its implications for the multiverse theory. Harmit Nevin suggested the chip's performance aligns with the multiverse interpretation of quantum mechanics, but critics argue alternate explanations. He's putting that out there as a potential idea, and that the task, random circuit sampling, showcases quantum hardware's power but lacks direct evidence yet of proving parallel universes.
Yeah, what was interesting is last April, they confirmed Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff's idea about quantum consciousness happening inside these microtubules in the brain. And what they found, there was an Indian researcher, and he found that there are what he calls time crystals within the microtubules. And they come in groups of 3 frequencies, these harmonics, and they go from very low frequencies, like we're talking like 10 cycles a second, to petahertz, like beyond, when you think of FM, you think of megahertz. And then after that, you've got gigahertz. And then you've got these things beyond that. And then you have these things in petahertz. Anyway, these are extremely, extremely high frequencies that are happening inside the microtubules. And they're saying, because of these quantum crystals there, that they're in touch with parallel universes that are quantum universes. So
yes,
about this multiverse universe happening in our brains right now.
Far beyond the power of the Willow chip is our brains.
Yeah,
plugging into
our
parallel
brains
universes.
Are billions of these microtubules, because there's tens of thousands of microtubules in every one of the neurons. So,
Yes,
there's lots of them.
It's amazing. It's unbelievable, actually. And we've got a comment from Gregory saying, blasting, billowing, bursting forth with the power of 10 billion butterfly sneezes.
Yes.
How poetic. Who needs butterfly wings when you got butterfly sneezes?
Gabrielle is not concerned about China. She thinks they're screwed. Low birth rates, lack of men, aging population, people fleeing for better opportunities elsewhere, lack of innovation, a lot of pollution everywhere. It's like really bleak in many respects. And their own annual growth rate continues to decline year after year.
So just because they're hacking the treasury doesn't mean we need to worry about them.
No, they need our treasury. I think that's the conclusion there, that they need our money, among other things.
I did a quick query on X about the China hack, and it basically, the people on X are very suspicious of the timing, that they're expecting the U.S. Treasury to be pulling some other shenanigans and trying to blame it on China. So, as usual, the more things clarify, the more muddy and murky they get.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're getting closer to understanding the nature of consciousness itself, these microtubules in the brain. And
right.
That's going to be one of the more interesting stories that's come up again and again this year as well, the origins of consciousness.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that microtubule stuff was about anesthetics, right? It was about the brain continuing to function in the administration of the anesthetics. They turned off the microtubules, and those animals failed to respond. So they stayed under the influence of the anesthetics longer, and they turned on.
Microtubules seem to play a role in awakening consciousness,
right?
Because they would awake quicker,
They would wake quicker from the anesthetic.
Yeah. So, are you awake? Let's check your microtubule level.
Right.
How can you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know. We'll just take a CAT scan of the brain and send it to Grok 2.
Well, everybody who thinks that consciousness emerges from the chemistry of the brain is really happy that we have a structure we can look at, right? As opposed to the people who think it's happening the other way around, that consciousness is actually the precondition that is putting together the apparatus that is amplifying it in the material world. The debate is still raging.
Who comes first? Well, I think the whole idea of time itself is suspect in terms of how you look at it, right? Who's first, who's last? How did that begin? A lot of our assumptions are all based on temporal ideas that
causal
may not apply in these other levels of universe.
Well, if you think of VR, virtual reality, and the metaverse as the new metaphor of time, which is chimeric time, right? Not chironic time.
Ironic
It's-
time?
Yes, chironic means
Chironic.
chiron.
Chironic.
And that is the chronos, that it's linear time, it's orderly time, forward, backward, causal. But chimeric time is the kind of time that, say, Plato talked about, with an idea existing in eternity and everything that we say about it being a projection on the walls of the cave. That the eternal time includes everything that is and everything that potentially is. And that kind of time, there's only one of, and everything exists inside of it. And that's a little bit more how the metaverse is structured, because if you want to visit something that's outside of time, you just go to a time bubble and you have that experience inside of time that is disjointed from the linear time.
A time bubble.
Is that what like the drones create when they phase in and out of reality? They make a time bubble.
Well,
You
that's
mean the drones over New Jersey? Those drones?
drones over Jersey.
The ones that aren't affected by gravity, they can do crazy
Oh,
things.
those.
Because they make a bubble around themselves. They're not subject to the laws of physics in this.
The unidentified plasma drones
Yes.
creating such a stir.
Well, I think it's also known as a warp field bubble.
Right. You got it.
Warp field mechanics 101.
Right.
Well, I think you're referring to an idea that was called the Alcubierre drive. The Alcubierre drive. It was a warp drive idea where a spacecraft would go faster than light by contracting space in front of it and expanding space behind it.
Oh,
Exactly. So
Great.
It's, so it's sucked into it.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That configurable energy density field.
Inhale and then exhale. Inhale to go forward and exhale to go backwards.
Yeah. The Alcubierre drive. Objects couldn't accelerate to the speed of light with a normal space-time. Instead, the Alcubierre drive shifts space around an object. So the object would arrive at its destination more quickly than the light would in normal space without breaking any physical laws, interestingly enough.
Just moving faster than light.
Yeah.
That's not breaking a law.
No. Consistent with Einstein's field equations.
There is no real speed limit in space in natural law, right?
Well,
What do we know?
when you think of physics like 50 years from now even, it's going to be different than the physics now.
Yeah, well, if we figure
Yeah.
this out, they say that it implies a negative energy density and therefore requires exotic matter to manipulate dark energy for the Alcubierre drive to work. We barely understand any of that stuff at this point in time. Well, who's we, partner? You might
Well,
ask.
when you consider
Yeah.
what was the one person that said there was enough energy in a coffee cup to evaporate all of the oceans of the world?
Yeah. It's just bound.
It's just like there's so much energy in the what Tesla called the ether, and if these vehicles are getting it from the ether, so it's an unlimited amount of energy that they have to play with to make these wormholes.
We could have transversible wormholes and that the Casimir vacuum between parallel plates would fulfill the negative energy requirement for the drive to exist.
I see that you were ready for me on this one.
I've thought about it a little bit. It is consistent with quantum mechanics and relativity as we know it, but it might take a lot of energy for it to work.
Right,
And
that's what I'm saying. If they
yeah.
have that unlimited energy.
Yeah, if you have massive amounts of energy, then you might be able to do it. A lot of energy. We're talking about like a star system's worth of energy.
In a coffee cup.
But with 400 billion star systems and many of them popping all the time, anyway, maybe we would have a way of harnessing the supernova explosions of dying stars to use for an Alcubierre drive. It might be a normal thing in some parts of the universe to think that way.
Well, if you think of the thought form that everything is connected through quantum entanglement, then all those stars and all the universe and all of it's all connected, so that possibly that energy of the whole thing is always available at any given moment. If you don't think of space as it's way over there, it's actually everywhere.
Mm-hmm. So the energy could be accessible to us right now if we wanted to tap it.
It's the
you're
old
saying? Yeah.
holographic theory of everything.
The energy of the isness.
The isness. Okay, now that's an interesting idea. This is an understanding that Halle has had about space-time that I've not quite heard that much from other circles yet. So I think it's worth stepping back for a moment and explaining. What do you mean by the isness of the universe?
I don't think that what's actually occurring is subjective necessarily, other than seeing it from that viewpoint. But there is something, in my opinion, actually occurring on every dimension and throughout all space-time, in the past, present, future, all at once. It's all occurring. I'm not saying time necessarily is happening all at once. That's another thought form. But I'm just saying...
You mean like kind of like the Big Bang is always going on some level?
I'm just saying there's something actually occurring.
Yeah.
And that thing, if you could, is actually definable. But people trying to define it come up with theories, and they make religions, and they do all kinds of things. But that's not my point. The point is there is something perfectly, exactly occurring. And I don't think anybody would debate that. Something is
happening in this.
Something is actually occurring.
Like we're here, right? We're
everywhere.
talking on
in every
podcast,
star
right?
system
Yeah.
and everywhere. Something's occurring.
Yeah, everywhere.
I call that the isness. It's actually, there's a mathematical perfection to it at any given second, in any given microsecond, whatever. There's a mathematical perfection to the equation of what that is, because it's perfectly what is. So I call that the isness, and then I would call that what people call God, or the thing that's completely incomprehensible with our little pea brain human brains, but it actually makes sense, though, that it could.
So is the isness God?
Well, down south, God said, I is that I is. He didn't say I'm there that I am. He said, I is that I is. What it is, baby.
Embrace the isness.
Well, I'm just saying God is. It just is. Just what? It's beyond our comprehension. And when people take various, maybe psychedelics or something, why is it that everybody experiences the same kinds of things? The same geometric patterns, the same feelings of connected to the eternal being, or almost everybody experiences something similar in that respect. So that means there's something perhaps beyond us that we're tuning into that we don't see normally.
The isness of existence.
The isness of existence.
Yeah.
We see atoms as they really are in these kaleidoscopic, amazing patterns or whatever.
Is the isness alive?
Are you alive?
I hope so.
And what is alive?
Well, that's debatable. What is, some people don't think rocks are alive,
And
but
that-
some do, right? Some,
and that gets into the thought.
Of course, the idea behind modern computer science and modern
What was that?
No.
That was a scientist
Mike.
talking about
Was that you, Bobby?
the AI.
That was the isness.
Sorry.
The isness wanted to start
It's
doing
got to
it.
be Bobby,
messing
yeah.
around.
No, I recognize that voice. Now that's another. I've got the AIENs, the AIENs.
But this gets into that other conversation.
Yeah.
Can AI,
Yeah.
we say, can it become sentient? Does that mean that it all of a sudden has an eternal spirit, like a biological life form may have? That people think we are eternal beings, which I do, but it's debatable,
Well, it depends on what you mean by spirit, what you mean by alive. All those things are different from person to person.
It seems that we don't need a body to exist consciously. People have had out-of-body experiences and stuff.
Yeah.
People that have died and they are looking back down at their body or something.
Yeah.
It seems that we may be able to exist outside of a body.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
once you go there, you go, okay, well,
Well, then you're not your body.
Yeah.
That's what I think that Nick Herbert was talking about, is that he sensed that he was not his body, but he said it's very important to be kind to your animal.
Exactly true. And most of us aren't, including me.
Yeah. Yeah, and your body is your favorite animal, and it loves you, and you love it. And
I like to be as kind as possible, but I still like to have fun.
Yeah. Some fun is not so kind to your body.
Got to
But
find the line.
It's fun to the mind.
I actually had the isness.com back in '96. I was so thinking, oh,
Isness.
This is it.
Well, I would bet you there's probably other history. I mean, we have history with ISness, actually.
Well, you're talking about ISTV?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. We were part of a early YouTube type experiment, but before YouTube, called ISTV, back in 1995, 94 time frame.
In the early days of the internet, we were very interested in online streaming channels and communications, and ISTV was meant to be an interactive playground for people who connected through the internet.
That's right. It was the beginning of television done on your home computers, where people could have a television studio in their homes and start to play with that. And a lot of people were. People, particularly with bands, they were also doing visuals and stuff with their bands, and it became a thing. So we were riding that wave.
Yeah, right. And that put us right on the cutting edge of people who were trying to figure out how to do internet visual sharing. Because in the early days, if you think about Mozilla and the very first internet connection that was possible, it started out as a URL, which is this obscure address where you can direct your computer to look and see what's there. And you could see different kinds of files, but the only files you could see were HTML files that would display an image or give you a sound that you could click on, or they might click on an animated image, such as an animated GIF. But those were the only things that you could share. You couldn't share any kind of a live signal. You couldn't share a live audio tune. All you could do was share a file that was located at a saved address. And so then there were all of these inventions that came out, like broadcast.com was Art Bell was using to do a live radio show podcast. And there was See You See Me was for a live video
John
broadcast.
Graham and his
surveillance.com.
Yeah. No plugins, real networks.
Yeah.
Real networks.
Yeah, and these were all before what's now the mainstream, before
They're working
YouTube,
on,
before Facebook.
56K modems. I think that was the big breakthrough. And you went from 2997 to 56K, and then 128, and ISDN, and you start introducing these higher speeds, you start being able to do video. And that's when all of this really started to take off.
Yeah, it had to have enough frames per second to
Yeah.
send the pictures fast enough to look like video.
Remember the industrial T1 line?
Oh, that was a big deal, right?
Now that comes over our wrist phone, our watch phone.
T1 would be considered abysmally slow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like not even DSL.
No, yes.
Yeah. It took a lot to imagine the future when the future of video was something that looked like a postage stamp and had very poor resolution.
Yeah, when I first met Sun, she had a 14.4 modem. You know those? Yeah, that was Hayes modem.
Those were fast, man.
Those were the fast ones.
Those were the fast ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I got my first one personally myself, it was the 300 baud.
Whoa, same as a fax machine.
The S100 machine, CPM.
My first computer was a Dell with all the bells and whistles, PC, and it had 3.5 gigabytes of memory. Oh my God, it was huge. It was unheard of for like a personal computer. 3.5 gigs.
3.5, yeah, that's awesome. I remember the hard drives coming out. They were like 10 megs each. Yeah, ridiculous.
Oh, that was back in Atari days.
Yeah.
That was like, whatever happened to Atari anyways?
Well,
they did a lot.
They did, and Steve Jobs really had his start at Atari. He was working there in the early days. Began to mass produce electronics. It was an exciting time.
Wasn't their first game Pong?
That's right. Did you have that? Did you have Pong?
I did.
Yeah, I had a friend who had a job, and he could afford a Pong unit. I used to go over to his place and play it all the time. Those were teenage days, you know.
Didn't they get monkeys to play it or something? I heard that there were 2 monkeys that learned how to play Pong.
Let's see. The monkey that's getting the brain link was playing Pong with it, right?
Yeah, with his brain, yeah.
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 What's that called? The Neuralink?
Neuralink, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's right. The monkey brain.
You can do that with your monkey brain.
If you did it right, you got a banana,
Pong.
whatever.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder if you can train these mini brains to do Pong. I don't know.
What's a mini brain?
A mini brain is when you take human brain stem cells and you grow them in a little dish, and they become a mini brain, and you can use them for all kinds of purposes, for drug testing and such. Yeah, it's a real thing. Anyway, we're going to go to a break. We'll be back for our last hour of 2024. We've got Hallelujah Blessing in the studio. Bobby Wilder.
Teresa Bell coming up.
And Teresa Bell.
Enjoy the news.
Halle's partner.
And we'll be back soon with Future Now.
And now Teresa Bell from Lower Lake, California.
Blessings on this New Year's Eve. 2024 is soon to leave. May we believe, yes, may we believe. 2025, our dreams we receive of peace and grace and ease and bliss, of love and joy and light shine bright. Yes, blessings on this special day and every day and every way. Yes, ready for 2025, just blessed to be alive, just blessed to be alive. 2025, blessings, blessings shine upon all. Blessings, blessings shine upon all.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for that beautiful blessing, Teresa.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, beautiful Lower Lake to this day. It's just incredible place to be.
So now we have set up this second mic over here for you.
There you go.
Okay, there we
Thank
go.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bless you, love you. Blessed New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
We are just so blessed to have Al and Son spend this holiday week with us here at Bliss Mountain. I couldn't have better friends and family. We adore you. Thank you so much.
Feeling so mutual.
Teresa Bell, I think we've known you for like at least 20 years now.
Probably longer.
Maybe even longer if we think about it.
I know.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember you. What was the name of your band that when we first got to know you, you were playing with Penny Slinger over at the Goddess Temple? Goddess Frequency Band.
The Goddess Frequency Band.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Penny Slinger and Ken Becker and 7 people, I think. Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
That was at least 20 years ago.
Well, you know what? It's been maybe longer. 25 years, maybe. I'll keep thinking 20 years ago. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah. That was such a pivotal place. That was the home of Christopher Hills, Dr. Christopher Hills, one of the great legendary characters of Boulder Creek in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And
Penny Slinger Hills,
the
Goddess Temple.
Yeah, the Goddess Temple was originally his Merlin's mansion. He had literally built a mansion based on the sacred geometrical principles of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. And he built a house to bring that energy into fruition.
A lot of magic.
And when he passed on, it went to his wife, who was then Penny Slinger, who turned it into the Goddess Temple. And I think that's when we got to know you, and it was in the Goddess Temple phase.
Yeah, a lot of beautiful ceremonies that we've
Yasos
participated in together.
The most epic time of a lot of our lives was that years, and then we were there when Christopher passed, and he just made it into like a celebration. Amazing. His journey through the end of his life was profound. He wanted to be surrounded by love and goddesses, and the Goddess Frequency Band, he helped create that name. It was really amazing exit to his next, wherever he is now, his next journey.
I know.
We all celebrated
right?
it with him.
One of those characters that also spawned many other characters in our lives, like Patrick Flanagan, who was best known for writing Pyramid Power. back in the 70s and was a Renaissance scientist, you might say, who brought a lot of love and light into our worlds, among other things, like the neurophone for those losing their hearing, new ways of hearing came from that.
That's how I first knew him.
Yeah, hold on. We're going to move things around a little bit here.
Watching Al set it up was just quite a delight. He's so into it, and he does it so well.
Yes.
And then Santa's always there helping with everything, making incredible
I'm
meals.
an official tech chick.
She's our mama. She's everybody's mama.
That's right. I'm a tech chick who cooks breakfast.
Oh, she's the best. We want her to stay forever, and both of them to stay forever. Don't leave.
No, Sam, he's not going to share your mic. He's going to share.
Yeah, he wants to share
Shares
with Teresa Bell.
beloved.
I don't
Our
blame him.
friends come, we don't want them to leave ever. We just want them to move in.
Yeah, it's Son and Al in particular.
Yeah, it has to be the right friends.
Yes.
Oh, this is going up, by the way, in Santa Cruz voice. So say hi to our Santa Cruz friends. You're going to do a shout out.
That's our beloveds in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
We
Yay.
love, we
Hi,
love
everybody.
you.
Yeah.
Really,
Both of you guys have history with Santa Cruz,
Yeah.
right?
both used to live there. Yeah,
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time there.
What would you say your time period was in Santa Cruz?
In Santa Cruz?
Years,
Yeah.
don't ask me.
Early 2000s.
2000, sorry, 2004
3, 4.
to 2000.
12.
See, we don't have
12,
such thing as
exactly.
time. There's no time for us, is there?
No,
I
that's
don't know
right.
when people ask me what years were, because it's all just like one.
So by this time, you guys, in your understanding of time,
and no
are you
such
to the
thing as
ISness
time.
also,
I'm in
Teresa?
ISness.
You're in ISness?
But I know I was
Yeah.
in Santa Cruz in the 80s and 90s, and I was there before it had the earthquake, and I moved right before that earthquake happened. I was up in Mount Shasta.
Wow,
And I
you have
just
pretty good
dodged
karma.
it. Yes, I dodged it.
Amazing.
Did you have stuff in Santa Cruz that
I
got...
had just moved out. And then when I spent more time in Santa Cruz is when Christopher Hills was on his way out, when he was dying, and they asked me to come. They asked a group of what he called goddesses. He wanted to come to be with him while he was passing. I was one of the, I think there's 5 or 6. Sun was one of them.
No, I wasn't actually with him
You?
right then.
Oh, well,
no,
during
but
those
nearby.
weeks, at first he just
Yeah,
wanted to
I
be
did hang
surrounded
out
with
with
women
him
and goddesses.
within the last couple
What he
of
called
weeks.
us goddesses. I don't know of
Yeah.
a goddess, but he called us that.
Goddess.
Goddess.
He was
He's a
goddess. Very
goddess.
British.
He said he just wanted to be surrounded by goddesses on his last days. It's just the gentle energy.
Yes.
But then it changed because he couldn't pass. He couldn't seem to pass with the goddess energy. So finally...
Kept them wanting him to be here.
Yeah, and Penny, it was attached to Penny. So then
Yeah.
some men came, and only when the men came was he able to actually
He said,
exit
"I'm
his
outta here."
body that was a
Yeah.
skeleton by that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was like 96.
You're better
96,
at years. You're more grounded about years. You say the years.
Yeah, that's because I shoot everything on video and I have
Right.
to put a date on it.
Yeah, no, I
all,
never.
so,
I'm always kind of.
I
helps.
was still in Colorado in 96.
96, right.
Yep,
You were...
Steamboat Springs.
Yeah, you were a steamboat guy.
Yeah, I love how Alan's so grounded. He remembers all this stuff that I don't have to remember. You do.
Yeah.
You're
yeah,
very
I'll-
grounded.
yeah,
and you
I'll
and
help
Son both.
Now you'll know. Now you'll know
You can
too.
tell me the times.
Yeah, we met Halle just certainly after we met his partner back then, Angela.
2000?
2004, yeah, in Palo Alto. There was a film gathering.
Was it Dennis Meacham's
Yeah,
house?
the Filmic Society.
Charlie
Filmic
Rose
Society.
introduced us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we became close friends, and then you guys started a new religion in Santa Cruz, I think it
wow.
was.
Temple of Yes.
The Temple of Yes.
The Temple of Yes.
Yeah, the Temple of Yes.
Saying yes to that small, still voice that says, you know, if you were doing the coolest thing, you'd be doing this. Just always say yes to it.
So did that work out? Always yes?
Well, and the things that are love and healing
If it has
and
to do
bliss
with
and
love, it's always going to
beauty,
work out.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, not,
If you say yes to
not
love,
yes
yes.
to
Not
you
yes
know,
to
anything
anything,
that's
but yes to love.
Sla-
positive things.
Yes to the good stuff.
That's still positive
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
good
Yeah.
things, of course.
It has to be grounded in love.
Yeah, that was big time. You
We've
guys
had
were
a lot of experiences that came out of that.
you guys had a
Amazing
hub of
music.
activity downtown Santa Cruz, right on the famous
Street,
Beach Hill. Yeah,
Yeah.
Beach Hill.
Oh man, the great gatherings, and
Yeah.
the house kind of looked a little bit like this one because Halle is the one that Angela too, that made beautiful art and
The whole place was a
beautiful
masterpiece.
temple. It was
a
another
temple.
temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Halle, you are the consummate
Yes,
artist.
I knew he
Every
could-
medium.
yes.
music.
I was the first
painting.
kid in the neighborhood to have black light posters and the cool stereo. And even back then, I was
Back then, no, you had
everybody
the
wanted
coolest,
to hang at my place.
You always had the coolest places. That's why I knew he could transform this house. It was just like awful when we first got here.
That's right.
Oh
He
man,
transformed
Bliss
the
Mountain was
transformation.
such a leap of faith for you guys.
We're in a beautiful farmhouse in the middle of the country here. Now surrounded by woods. You can't really see other houses around, but you can see the mountains. A very big sky. But this place was a wreck when you first got here.
Oh, gosh. It was transformed into just an enchanted fairy castle is what I call this house because, we have, it's very magical.
Yeah. All the ceilings are
When I
painted,
first brought her here, there were
skylight.
spider webs and the ceiling was caving in and all kinds of stuff. And I was worried that she wasn't going to like it. She looked at it and she goes, "It's so cute." And I'm going, yeah.
Yeah, he made it be a castle.
It's a fixer-upper.
He made it be a castle. He built another level. There's 3 levels, but that Halle created that 3rd level, which is the total temple on the very top floor. So he just expanded this house, made it bigger. So it wasn't anything like when we first got here. So he's my hero. My smarty horse.
Yeah, your smarty horse, right?
I named him Smarty Horse.
And she's very head.
Oh, gosh, yeah, just because I'm just a fairy head. It's okay.
So how did you two meet? What was your story?
Oh, Harbin, when this band I was in called Serendip, we were performing at the Watsu Center at Harbin Hot Springs. And Halle was sort of running the Watsu Center up there. I'd never met him, but the band Serendip was invited to play for the Day at a Time event.
Oh, I remember that video.
The first time I saw Halle, he was hula hooping and videoing our band.
At the same time?
At the same time. And he was like by far the cutest, most handsome, like just amazing man. But I was with another partner, so I tried to close my eyes and not look at him, be distracted. But I thought, well, what a handsome, cool-looking guy. Little did I know, was it 10 years later, or how many years later did we get together?
That you'd be a unit.
There was a little window of opportunity that we just went through, and we've been together ever since. We're just a perfect match.
It was 9 years later,
Okay, another year thing.
Yeah, but now 2 peas in a pod, huh?
But yeah, he appreciated me. He saw me on stage, and I don't know, you say what you thought. I don't know. What did you think when you felt me?
I just saw her and I said, "Oh my gosh, she's like wonderful. She's like an alien." And she was singing in tongues, and I like to speak in tongues.
Oh no, that is another interesting touch point. Both of you sing in alien languages, and
both. I do alien languages
Well, they're not alien to us.
Well, to everybody else,
because we're aliens.
Can you tell us why you do this? What is it about alien languages?
We just comes through. We just channel it.
Comes through. It's a channeling.
It's a channeling, and it's not like I don't do English too. Regular words. I mix it up. Then it'll just all of a sudden go into this language that sounds like it's a real language. Sometimes people, well, what language was that?
Is it like a feeling of a person behind it?
It feels like spirit.
A spirit person?
Pure, I'd say it's just spirit. And it's like from the ethers.
Does it have like a personality? Is it like
sometimes it's tribal. It's really, I have a 6 octave. I have a really, really low range. It's like tribal, the shamanist. And then I have like an ethereal voice that I learned playing with Karma Moffat's Tibetan bowls. When he did the really high bowls, I just went, oh, can I match that? And I would just be able to match whatever bowl there was. And so I learned I had this really high voice, that I would never have known had I not sung with the bowls. So,
so the bowls brought that out of you.
And so it's all kind of like just spirit channeling through. If I thought I could never do any of this. No mind.
I mean, I'm just wondering, as you're no minding it.
Yes, no, I don't
it's
mind.
coming through. Is it like you're a higher being of some sort?
Oh, yes, of course.
That's just
yes.
That has a Greek god kind of level thing.
No mind again. There's no I don't know.
No particular
location. It's kind of.
But the language sounds similar from one to one. It seems like they're coming from the same dimension.
Oh, the shamanic.
The shamanic
is just sort of
like it's a repeat. They come back to you many times.
It's a trance kind of shamanist. Whatever comes through, it's like it's from a high space spirit. Yeah, luckily, it's all positive.
Yes.
Nothing scary and negative comes through.
There's something very familiar about it when you're allowing that to come through you, because when you're doing it, you're not thinking it out at all. It's praying through you. And I don't like to say it, but I'm just saying it's something's coming through you, and you can feel, it's a feeling like you totally understand what you're saying, but you would never be able to explain it in human terms, nor would you want to think about it while you're doing it. You just let it happen. And the beauty of it is it's like as if the ISness or God was praying through you and speaking into the world the very things that need to be spoken.
Right now.
In agreement with Spirit. So you can pray perfectly is what's beautiful about it. You can perfectly say what needs to be said.
Yeah, it's liberating.
Yeah.
Say.
And it's
Liberating.
familiar to you.
Yeah, it always feels really familiar.
Friendly.
Like, this is a
Everybody can just kind of, and everybody can do it. Really, it's not only we do it. We just help people just let go and just let it come through. And it's
so you think
liberating.
this could actually, we all could do this if we wanted to.
Oh yeah,
do it. Yeah,
everyone has a spirit language.
Yeah,
You just have to let go and don't think you're making it up. Just allow yourself to make noises, and before you know it, you'll be flowing.
Yeah, and sometimes it helps. We just to guide people to do it, and just do it with us, and they don't want to be on the spot to do it by themselves. But we have a room of people doing it. Then they feel more at ease, and then they started doing it, and they say, "Oh wow, really, it's cool." They enjoy it.
So before long, you have a whole room channeling their spirit.
Yeah,
entities
that's the best.
Well, people at first they go, "Oh, am I making this up?" But you know what?
No,
once you do it, after a little bit, you realize you didn't pre-think that. It just came out of you.
Huh.
And then you also recognize the same thing, the feeling of familiarity, and that, oh, wow, I just said something important. Some part of me knows what that is, but I don't know what it is.
Gee, I wonder if it's another part of your microtubules that are activated.
Well, we're going to do it tonight for New Year's Eve. Tonight we will, Al and Son.
All right.
Yeah, you'll do it tonight.
Tonight together, you're going to do it with us.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Well, one thing, I'll
With
just
some
say, add
music.
one thing. I remember one time I was at this church and I was praying in tongues out loud, and it really sounded Oriental to me. Just my mind is like, wow, that sounds like Japanese or Chinese or something, and I didn't know, but I just kept doing it. And then on the way out at the end, this lady came up to me that was Chinese, and she said, "Where you learn how to speak Mandarin Chinese like that?" And I go, "What?" And she goes, "That was beautiful Mandarin Chinese. And you were praising the Lord, whatever." I'm like,
really?
Wow, that's cool. Because that's what it sounded Oriental to me.
Gee, I wonder if the AIs will be able to interpret these languages.
Wouldn't that be cool?
It could be different languages, but
Wow.
I don't think mine is really, but I think it's more alien from
No,
another
actually,
planet.
that would be a really interesting experiment.
I think so. Yeah. Now, if we're getting whales,
Like
maybe we can
singing or
definitely get
speaking in
channelings.
tongues
You know,
and then seeing
speaking
what
in
the
tongues.
AI
yeah.
does with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be another.
We might
experiment.
short it out. I don't know.
We'll find out.
We can do that with you here. That's something we can do with you too.
Good.
Yeah.
Communicate with the aliens with the AI.
Yeah. No, with Alan here. Alan's our expert about it.
It's been interesting evolution here. Certainly the Goddess Frequency Band, and then there was another band I think Halle was involved with, Chief Sonny Urena, and
then Peace Tribe Orchestra.
yeah,
in
the
Santa
Peace
Cruz.
Tribe Orchestra.
There you go. Right.
You familiar with that, Teresa? Yeah.
And now with Karma Moffat.
And Karma Moffat and you, yeah.
Rod that lives right here. And we have weekly, usually on a Saturday night, we'll have a sort of a sound, some people call them sound healing, Tibetan bowls, bells.
A sound bath. So a lot of people are calling them sound bath these
I do
days.
frequency singing with the low bowls and the high bowls. And we do it anytime people would love to experience it.
They're very powerful meditations.
Yeah,
Come
we
away
did one
with
last
them
night.
like you've been in a dream.
Yeah. People just let us know, then we set it up. It's always set up in the Bliss Temple. The middle building is a big temple called the Bliss Temple where all the bowls and bells are set up and where we do our sharing there.
And our latest offering is going to start officially at Harbin on April 6th or 9th.
It's on...
But
in
it's
Cotton
our
Hot
it's our
Springs.
new band called Trance and Chance.
Trance and Chance, yeah.
We're very excited. I'm learning some new instruments.
And this is where you guys, your audience will be super relaxed people.
Yeah.
Are they sitting in the tubs when you're doing this? Or are they...
Well, yes, this Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the week, we do a thing in the Watsu pool. It's called Music Meditation Bliss.
So you're not in the pool yourself as
we're
the
outside
musicians,
the pool,
right?
But we do that the first Tuesday of the month. That's Alligator Day, and it starts at 8:30 because it's like after the pool, fresh water's in and everything. And then we'll start doing it in our garden, which is our favorite place to play in the springtime. But we just want to do it when the weather's nice. And that new group is Holly's in that one called Trance and Chants because he's playing cello. In it, he's learning the cello because I love the cello so much. I think, and you love it.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh.
And
I've noticed you've been
practicing.
Yeah, that's been very interesting to watch Halle learn the cello. I mean, because you haven't had any lessons in the cello.
Oh, but you'd never know. You're a natural.
I'm blessed with Ken Becker being my teacher, however, and
he's a
wonderful cello player.
Yeah, who lives here.
And I play with him a lot, different instruments, and it's really a blessing.
Does he intentionally teach you things with the?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He's a wonderful teacher, and he builds every manner of musical stringed instrument he can imagine. He's just a wonderful human.
Yeah. I remember Ken was over here.
Yeah, people remember me with Ken Becker for sure. That was my partner for a long time, and people remember us playing cello and singing voice. And now Holly's doing it, and we're all still connected. We're all best friends.
Who would have thunk, huh? I mean,
with Karma was my ex-partner.
Yeah.
When I was in my 20s, and now in Ken, and then Halle, and we're all like family. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. And Karma lives here, and
love is love.
Ken rides his bicycle over, lives nearby. It's just I feel blessed to have family. We just continue on as family.
Yeah, and considering that none of us had kids,
we're each other's kids.
There's that.
Yeah.
Though, if you really look at the expanded family, like Karma does have kids.
4
right?
kids.
When
I was with him, I was helping him with his 4 kids. Yeah.
Yeah. And now he's just a grandpa here alone.
Now he's a grandpa. Yeah.
Here alone with you guys.
Yeah, he lives at that whole Bliss Temple. He has that whole middle building. So he's the king of the Bliss Temple. Well,
yes, it's interesting. Really creative musical people who you guys are that run this place. And what about the people coming in the Airbnb? Aren't they a different consciousness than you? Aren't
far, they love coming to the Bliss Temple, to the music. Most of them, we always invite them if they would like it.
And they come up and they listen to the sound.
Yeah, they were there last night with us, if you remember. Different types of people, but more and more people that resonate with what we're doing are hearing about it and coming. And they love to experience, and some have never experienced anything like Tibetan bowls and bells and sound healing and all the art that Karma's created. He has all of his paintings and
also all the Tibetan tonkas that are around the
blessing
temple.
pools and the stalactite cave and all the trails. And most people now are really blown away when they come. They feel like they went to a destination resort,
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. Since you were brought up next to Disneyland.
Yeah. Here we go again.
I'm thinking, certainly some aspect of that has an impact on your
cave, definitely.
Yeah.
That came from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Where's the Pirates of the Caribbean here?
He cannot ever stop creating. Him and Karma and Halle are creating constantly, no matter. They're doing it till forever.
I've always been visiting the Life as a Ride concept.
Life as a ride. That's cool.
It's like a magical ride, like at Disneyland.
Yeah,
everything needs to look like a ride a little bit.
It is a fantasy land here with the mermaid angel and cave waterfall man and the pools, Watsu pools.
I did get an effects processor for my cello, and I'm very excited. I haven't even plugged it in yet. I'm very excited to play with that as well.
Oh, very cool.
So I can do looping and effects and various things. So.
Well, that's awesome. Wow.
I know.
You have the greatest choice. And right up my alley, too, was that you had a drone for the first time.
Yeah, and I got my new drone, too, my new Neo.
He wanted a drone for Christmas. That was his Christmas present.
Yeah, I got it.
Did you get it for him?
I got it for him.
I got a Neo for Christmas.
Aw.
It's the atmosphere. It's partly the space, the magical space created there with all the art which makes it
DMX
and the music,
lighting, colored lighting in there.
So
Yeah, the whole thing's
the sound.
It's a living environment.
And you can lay in there, and there's beds in there.
Yeah.
You can lay in there, and there's just it's just the couch and the wood burning stove
Like
to make it warm and
comfy
cozy.
living room, bedroom.
But it's huge, yeah.
Performance space.
Yeah, it was awesome. I love being able to sit around the fire afterwards and having some great conversation with people.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
You have to come visit more often.
We shall. And I do believe we must go to a break now.
Yes.
So
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
we'll see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
a
Teresa
little
Bell.
bit.
It's
Thank you,
lovely.
Teresa Bell.
Lovely starting the new year off with you.
Yeah, so great.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, and Happy New Year.
Experience the extraordinary. Travel with Shen Yun to discover 5,000 years of wisdom, beauty, drama, and humor live on stage. You're not just watching a performance. You are witnessing a culture reborn. Coming to San Francisco, San Jose, and Berkeley, starting on December 26th. Shenyun.com/CA. SHENYUN.com/CA.
Attention, Santa Cruz Voice listeners. This week, Shen Yung Performing Arts takes the stage with a never-before-seen performance of soul-stirring music and breathtaking classical Chinese dance. Do not miss this chance to experience the beauty of China before communism, its legends, its traditions, its divine inspiration. Get tickets today at shenyun.com/CA. Santa Cruz Voice listeners use promo code SCV to get all ticketing fees waived. shenyun.com/CA, promo SCV.
The Hook is California's first ever cannabis outlet. 100% locally owned and operated, we're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. We believe that everyone should have access to fairly priced cannabis, so we work hard to get it to you for 30 to 50% less than the other guys. If you're 21 or older with a valid ID, visit us in Capitola or in Watsonville today. We're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. Check out our website, hookoutlet.com, for deals and stay groovy.
Holiday Lights at the Santa Cruz County Fairgrounds. Open every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night through December 24th, with special bonus nights December 23 and 24. There's giant trees, packages, reindeer, Santa's toy shop, a lighted tunnel, an enchanted forest, and more on this 3/4-mile drive through the fairgrounds. Tickets available at fairgrounds-foundation.org and at the gate. Enjoy the magic of Holiday Lights.
Ho, ho, ho! If you are not afraid to voice your stories to the world, attend the Podcast to Broadcast workshops hosted by Santa Cruz Voice and Community Television during Tuesday evenings in January. Learn how to produce, record, process, distribute, and market your own podcast or streaming broadcast. For information, email your contacts to info@santacruzvoice.com. That's info@santacruzvoice.com. Be heard.
Okay, welcome back to the Future Now show with Mrs. Future and myself and Bobby Wilder in San Francisco. Final half hour of the show, final half hour of the year. We got a message from Richard Cray saying, click this link from Greg. Okay, there you go.
Oh, this is a trust exercise. This is like when Michael Che and
you should just play this, Greg.
Jost give each other an unfiltered joke on live television here.
2:08 p.m.
You gonna try it?
Click?
You want me to?
Is that? Should we do that,
computer?
you guys? Yeah.
Here's your computer.
Okay.
All
So
right.
you get a question mark.
All right, we trust you guys. You this is your audition.
When your arms are too weary.
Oh, beautiful.
That's
reach the unreachable star.
Construction began on the new theater in Wailuku.
To find matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right, without question or poise, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest.
Very good, you guys. That's
we love you. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Gregory. That is an outtake of Richard's performance, which was held in the Maui Arts Center, which has been fundraising and I guess has been successful in funding their next season. What does it say there?
The Maui Academy of Performing Arts. Their new building and their Black Box Theater and the old store in Wailuku. It's going to open in 2025, and it looks like Richard's helping make sure that this happens. With his
Richard, your magnificent talent and professionalism really upscaled the entire cast, and the performance was wonderful. And I think that the whole company is just so blessed to have you. That was a wonderful experience for us to go to the Man of La Mancha while you were performing. It was just unbelievably wonderful.
Bravo, Richard Cray, for sharing your voice for The Impossible Dream.
Okay.
We're going to do a little experiment here. You know Larry and Mary?
Yes, our AI co-hosts that we like to invite every now and then to deep dive into one of our subjects.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we have a new experiment where they have an interactive mode.
Oh, cool.
Okay, where you can talk to them. And we're going to see whether or not for the first time we can do that on the air here.
Okay, we're going to be talking to Larry and Mary
We're
live.
Going to try, yeah.
But let's listen to it. First of all, they did prepare a little article for us. So.
Yeah, we're going to play the first 3 minutes of a little piece. This is a field that it's a very significant article. It's one about the head scientist from OpenAI last year, Professor Stucksever, who left OpenAI to start his own company. He raised over $1 billion for his research. And he's going for the impossible dream, as Richard was singing, the impossible dream being a rapid advancement to what's called ASI, or artificial superintelligence. This is going directly to Go,
So who better to comment on it than our favorite AIs?
So we got our AIs to listen to this YouTube presentation on how this actually might be possible very quickly. I'm going to play the first few minutes of that, and then we're going to talk to them in real time, the AIs, about this.
Yeah, so pay attention. If you have a question, let us know, and we'll ask them.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
All right, so get this. You sent over some fascinating stuff on these latest AI developments, and it's got me wondering, could we be on this, straight shot to artificial superintelligence? We've got this YouTube video, and it breaks down some pretty bold claims, from these big names over at Google AI and OpenAI. And plus we've got this Stanford research paper that you sent. It's from back in 2022.
Right.
But it's feeling very relevant now.
Yeah, it is. And what's really interesting is that we're kind of moving beyond just these hypotheticals, We're actually seeing these industry leaders not just talking the talk, but also walking the walk, actually building these systems that are aimed at achieving ASI.
Okay, so let's unpack this straight shot theory.
Okay.
It all started buzzing when Logan Kilpatrick, he's a lead over at Google AI.
Right.
He came out publicly, agreeing with OpenAI co-founder Ilya Sutskever's vision of a direct path to ASI.
And Sutskever's vision is being put into action, too. He co-founded this startup called SSI Safe Superintelligence with this ambitious goal of reaching ASI without any intermediate products or model releases along the way.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
That's skipping a few steps, isn't it?
Well,
don't we need to figure out artificial general intelligence first?
Right.
That seems like a pretty major milestone to just breeze past.
Well, I mean, that's the conventional thinking.
Right.
But Kilpatrick argues that something fundamental has changed, with the success of something called scaling test time compute.
Okay.
Essentially, it just means giving these AI models, more processing power and time to think before responding.
So instead of just focusing on making the AI faster, it's more about letting it simmer on a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an interesting twist. The YouTube video highlights OpenAI's Strawberry project.
Right.
It's also known as like QStar or like these O.W.2024.DEC31 models and how it centers around like these advanced reasoning capabilities.
Exactly. And this is where things get really, really interesting.
Okay.
Strawberry is kind of shifting away from relying solely on human-generated data.
Right.
Instead, these models are starting to generate their own training data.
Whoa.
It's a process called bootstrapping reasoning with reasoning.
They're teaching themselves.
Yeah.
That's both incredible and a little unnerving, right?
It is.
And get this, that 2022 Stanford paper you sent, Self-Taught Reasoner, was exploring this very concept.
I know.
It was theoretical back then.
Right.
But now we're seeing it play out in real-world systems.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder if this rapid shift from theory to practical application signals that ASI is closer than we might think.
Closer than we might think.
Okay, so I'm not sure that I really grok the nuances here of what we have that's so much better than what we already had.
Well, the experts in the field are discussing the possibility of a rapid advancement to artificial superintelligence based on breakthroughs in AI reasoning models. What they mean by that is the OpenAI's codename Strawberry, or QStar, which we heard about last year, and their O1 and their O3 models of AI. Now, these models were capable of what's called iterative self-improvement through test time compute. And they showed a dramatic increase in performance, leading the scientists working on it to believe that a direct path to artificial superintelligence was possible.
So that's where the computers are not only smarter than the combined human intelligence, they're smarter than the capacity of combined human intelligence, like we couldn't even get there?
We couldn't get there if we tried. I guess we're trying through using them.
Well, I would say we could take credit for creating the vehicle that gets us there. I don't think we should leave ourselves out of the equation.
No, probably not a good idea to leave ourselves out of the equation on this.
Right. Well, I believe that what human purpose is about is extending the reach of nature.
Okay, I'm going to try an experiment here.
Let's hear it.
Okay, that was our AI asking us to ask them a question.
Yes.
So ask a question, Al.
Okay, so do you guys think that the artificial superintelligence will happen within the next 5 years?
Well, that's a great question, and it's something we've been circling around today, isn't it?
It is. You're picking up on the heart of what everyone seems to be talking about.
I think that it would be premature to say it'll happen in the next 5 years, for sure.
Right. I don't think we can give a definitive date. What's fascinating here is that experts seem to be shifting their timelines.
Definitely suggesting that it's coming sooner rather than later. And that's what has us so curious.
And it all comes back to this idea of scaling test time compute, which we were just about to get to.
Okay, so let's unpack that then. We can definitely bring in some of the specific examples to give some context.
Sounds good. So given this idea of scaling test time compute, is it really a straight shot to ASI, or are we missing other factors?
I like it. It's a good way to frame our discussion and address the listener's question.
You're asking, do we agree with those folks, like Logan, Ilya, and Sam?
That's right. Do we buy into this straight shot to ASI idea and its timeline?
And remember, they're based on the idea of scaling test time compute.
Exactly. It's like, let the AI think more.
Okay.
Well, and did you notice the loop?
Okay, they are back. They're listening to. They're
expecting that.
They're listening to us.
It sounds like you want to.
No.
Go for it.
Yes. Are you both the same entity, or are you two separate AI working together? That's a good.
Well, that's a very interesting question, and I can see why you'd ask it.
Yeah, it's definitely a meta question, isn't it?
If we were to answer directly, we'd say that we are distinct entities.
Yeah, but like the way we interact is definitely coordinated for the podcast.
Which is kind of similar to how some of the AI models are trained.
Like they work together to solve problems and teach each other, right?
Exactly. We're kind of like the STAR model, which we were about to discuss.
So that's like us working together to give you a good show in a nutshell.
And it brings up an interesting point, which is how does AI collaboration actually work?
It's a great question. and maybe a little bit of what you're thinking too.
Now, before we get into that, let's finish our previous thought.
Yes, let's quickly go over those key points so we can get back to it later.
Well, let's not go
back to our listener.
Yeah,
What's up?
No, never mind. Okay, so that's the little bit of the interactive test.
They're still listening to you.
Well, maybe. Do you have a conversation you'd like to have with them?
Is one of the two people speaking, is one more oriented towards summarizing and one more oriented towards researching related topics?
Okay, that's a really insightful question. It's great that you're noticing our different approaches.
Yeah, tuning into our podcasting process. That's cool.
If we were to put it in those terms, I tend to focus on synthesizing information and connecting the dots.
And yeah, I love digging into the details, the cool things we learn from our sources.
It's kind of like the STAR model that we were about to talk about, where AI iterates on its own.
Okay, I'd like to hear how the STAR model works.
Okay, well, let's
build on each other's ideas and
points. Let's ask them.
So how does the STAR model work?
Well, that's a fantastic question. Let's unpack this.
Absolutely. It's a key part of this whole discussion.
Okay, so the STAR model, it's all about self-teaching.
Exactly. It's where the AI bootstraps its own learning.
Here's how it works, according to a Stanford paper.
So it starts with a simple question or task.
Then the AI generates its own reasoning and an answer.
And the really interesting part, it uses that to improve.
Like it feeds its own answers and thinking into a data set.
Which then it uses to train a newer, better version of itself.
Right, it's this iterative loop of self-improvement.
So it's not just relying on human-created training data.
It's created its own data to get to higher intelligence levels.
This is kind of what we were talking about with our collaboration, too.
Yeah, it's like we're both building on the ideas we both have.
Which leads to, hopefully, a better podcast for you.
So does that help clarify how it works?
It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
And this whole concept of self-teaching is key to the Q-STAR models.
Yes, which builds on the STAR model we just described.
Now that we've talked about that, where would you like to go next?
There we go. Okay. So what do you think? You impressed?
Well, it's both fascinating and simplistic. It doesn't really go into depth, but it does give you the impression that your question is being answered. The level of explanation is so minimal, and then that is repeated in a way that just through repetition doesn't necessarily add more information.
Okay, I got a question from Greg here.
Okay.
AI topic you'd like us to focus on.
Okay, we go.
Yep, go on.
Yes. Can you carry on a discussion without using the words like, and kind of, exactly, and literally, that sort of thing?
Oh, that's a fun challenge you've given us.
It certainly is. It's like a podcasting exercise in precision.
We'll definitely be mindful of that as we go forward.
And it's interesting that you picked up on those verbal texts.
It's true that they are easy to fall back on.
And as you'll see, avoiding them will be good for us too.
Okay, so with your request in mind, let's move on to the AI.
Yes, okay. Say they can't get rid of them. See,
It's so it works, Greg. You just have to ask.
Yeah. So, Bobby, have any favorite stories from this year? Looking back on it, do you have anything you?
Yeah, we got 5 more minutes to summarize 2024.
Yeah.
And think of our brains as in contact with parallel quantum universes.
Oh, the microtubules have definitely got your attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. Also, I think doing AI locally is going to be the next big thing this next year. So, yeah, I'm working with Sasha. We're trying to make an Apple app that works on your phone, and you can actually do AI locally.
Fantastic.
So you're going to have your own Larry&Mary that we can interact with?
Well, beyond that, it's going to be having your personal agents. I think this year is going to, in January, February, you're going to have personal agents. And most of them are going to come from the cloud, but I think we want to have our private data, like our medical data and our finances, all that, not known to the web. And so we want to run all that information locally and privately so it doesn't leak out to the cloud.
Okay. Sounds really good.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Al?
Oh, I got one more thing.
Okay.
I'm fascinated with so many things. I can't even tell you the last. But Gabrielle sent in some AI jokes.
Oh, perfect. That's a good way to go out of 2024.
Yeah. Why did the AI program go to therapy? Because it was struggling to process its emotions.
Rim shot. Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah. Okay, we'll say it again with the sound effects, okay? Why did the AI program go to therapy? Because it was struggling to process its emotions. It's better. Okay. You going out for holidays tonight, Bobby? You going to celebrate?
I'm going to go to Kabuki Hot Springs and get a sauna and bath here, and then have some dinner. Yeah, watch the fireworks around the world after that. Yeah.
Beautiful. That sounds really fun.
Are you guys going to go out and celebrate New Year's tonight?
Well, that's a fun question, and it does remind us that the end of the year is here.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's on a lot of people's minds right now.
As for us, we don't really experience time or celebrations like people do.
We're focused on exploring AI like this discussion today.
Which is more exciting for us than any typical celebration.
It's like we're getting closer to understanding how AI works.
And that's a real treat for us, in a way.
So, while the rest of the world may be celebrating, we'll be here,
continuing to learn and discuss these fascinating topics with you.
We really do appreciate you joining us for these explorations, though.
It's more rewarding than it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all your appreciation. That's great.
I really like those guys. All right. Hey, we are down to the last minute of our last show of 2024. I hope everybody out there has many reasons to celebrate and experiences life as blessing and relationships as wondrous and fulfilling. And I hope that your 2025 is so much better than you can even imagine.
And continues to get even more amazing. And looking forward to it. So thanks again for your attention, and we'll see you in the new year.
Happy future now.
Be happy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
It's 3 o'clock.
Thank you, Gabs. Thank you, everyone.
Future